Hello, this is my video for the unit 11. I'm gonna talk to the body movements, and now for first part I'm gonna tell the body movements in the body. We're gonna flexion, extension, abduction and abduction, pronation, supination, dorsiflexion and plantar. Now I'm gonna explain all one by one. First, deflection. Deflection is a bending motion that reduces the angle between two body parts. For example, this arm in two body parts. 1 and 2. This is a extension. The straightening motion that increases the angle between two parts. This is a different flexion. This is a flexion now, and increase the angle in two parts. Deflection in 1 and 2. Okay, this. Now I'm gonna continue with abduction. Abduction is a movement that pulls the body part toward the middle of the body. How? Abduction, an example, this separate to the line made. For example, separate. And now the difference of the adduction, a movement may say the pulls body. Now this part away from the mind of the body. Now this in this abduction, this is an adduction. Right of the line made. Now continue with elevation. That's a movement traveling in a superior direction. For example, travel. These are travel in a superior direction. And for the same, in the depression, the travel is in an inferior direction. For example, this is elevation in inferior direction, whose now pronation and supination, two different, but the consequence is a combined movement that involves abduction and aversion the plantar flexions. For example, this is a pronation. Yes, pronation. And on supination, the movement that includes an abduction, aversion. For example, this is pronation, and now supination. And now we're gonna talk to the dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. Yeah, do different movements of the foot. The plantar flexion is the extension of the whole of foot in upward direction. How this is? This is a plantar flexion, and dorsiflexion complement the movement, the flexion of the whole of the foot in downward direction. And dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. Good. I'm gonna explain one examples exercise of the movements. Now you see in the upper body, which sections are specific movements for the body. I'm gonna talk to the cervical, shoulder, the arm, the knee, the hips, foot. The first part is the cervical. We're gonna tell 4 movements for the cervical. Number 1, flexion. Number 2, an extension. Number 3, cervical lateral flexion. And now this is the last one, cervical rotation. And now all flexion, extension, rotation, lateral flexion. Now the shoulders. This is combined movements for the shoulder. Number 1, elevation. Number 2, depression. And for the next part, another part, we have flexion, extension, abduction and adduction, and medial rotation, lateral rotation, and circumduction. We have flexion and extension, flexion and extension, abduction and abduction, abduction, adduction, abduction and abduction, medial rotation, circumduction of the old part, the circumduction, a big circle for the strength, and lateral rotation. Now the part of the elbow. The elbow conforms the 4 movements: flexion, extension, pronation, and supination. The first, flexion, extension, flexion, flexion and extension. And we have the rotations, inter and extern, rotation inter and extern. And we have the pronation and supination. We have this is supination, pronation, supination. In the last part of the arm, we have the wrist. We have 4 movements: flexion, extension, desviation, rotation, and deviation, quital. Now, flexion and extension, deviation. This is a radial and quital, radial and quital. Now we have the part to the trunk. The trunk is composed for 4 movements: trunk flexion, trunk extension, trunk lateral flexion, and trunk rotation. We have this part for the trunk flexion. This is in a trunk flexion and a trunk extension. Trunk lateral flexion and trunk rotation. In the part of the hips, we have 4 movements: flexion, extension, abduction, and adduction. We have hips. Now this is a flexion, extension. This is an extension. This is a flexion. This is an abduction. We had separate of the line made. This is abduction. Abduction is leg circate to the line made. And abduction. For the part of the knee, we have 4 movements: medial rotation, lateral rotation, flexion and extension. We have the first part in the flexion and extension. We have the flexion and extension. And this is complicated, but we have inside extern rotation, outside rotation inter. And for the second and last part of video, the ankle conformed for 4 movements: flexion and extension, or another name, dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, and inversion and eversion. There's the flexion, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, or and inversion and eversion. Tenemos inversion and eversion, inversion, eversion. And this is the last part. We have all the movements of the body we can explain, and I expect to a good appraise, and thank you so much for watching.